we are able to unlock the first reward. Da, da, da. And then the Arbalestiers are going to be added to our stronghold. Awesome.
A quick shout out to Facebook. Samet says hello from Turkey. So hello, all the way in Turkey. Thank you for watching on Facebook in Turkey. We appreciate that. And hello, Jackie says you guys are the best. You guys are super nice today.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi.
We love hearing that. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to show off more Forge and Fire stuff in just a second. And we are going to talk about the rebalance. We are going to talk about changes that are happening in 6.5 or have happened in 6.5. And we're going to show off a lot of your cool community stuff. So I think it's going to be a fun, we have about an hour and 45 minutes left. So we have a fun little adventure together today, which I think will be great.
Yep. And again, you can find the Forge and Fire pop-up both in the main pop-up window here on the right, and you can find it here on the left where you're actually going to chart your progress. Remember, you need to make progress within the next 4 days and 20 hours within in order to make progress. That's from right now when the live stream is live today on the 20th. And then it'll enter the claim period, and then we will enter the next event with Forged and Fire, because we are doing a couple of these type events.
So we can do some teases now.
We're gonna do teases?
We're gonna do teases. We're not in the place where we can really show what's coming next, but we did clear, we can kind of give you guys some hints. So what I would love to see is either here in the chat or on our social channels, wherever on the forums, guess what these things are. Or who these guys are. So the first tease is right here on the bottom right.
I'll check that guy out. Oh, it's two guys in a trench coat.
It's I don't know if you guys will be able to guess this. No, this is pretty cool. I have seen it running around in game. It is awesome. I think you guys are gonna like it. So I'll let you guys stare at that for a couple of seconds and take a couple guesses.
The silhouettes are really important when you do game design and game development because you need to be able to read the pieces as you do a quick look over the battlefield. So you need to say, oh, this is a tank, or this takes a lot of can soak a lot of damage, or this other one looks like it'll move quickly. So so silhouettes and outlines like this are really important as part of the design process.
Dome Thomas, thank you for the following, and hello Jackie, thank you for following as well. We very much appreciate it. All right, so the next one, also on the bottom right.
There we go. It's a fancy hat, at least.
Yes. I don't know if we're not allowed to say really anything about this guy yet, but I will say that some of the Forged and Fire guys are going to have some interesting new mechanics.
Yes.
Associated with them that I think I can't say what the mechanics are, but it's new and interesting that I think you guys are going to like. So I think that guy might be a man with an alligator head. No, is that wrong?
I mean, what do you call an alligator in a vest?
Yeah,
an investigator.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
You're really good at
puns.
Yeah,
we got them.
It's true. You're very good at puns. All right, and so the last one before we move on is this guy who Tin and I both agreed is pretty awesome.
I'm really excited. This is one of the ones I'm most excited for, I think. I saw some of the early concept art when they were first putting this unit together, and just the way that the armor looked and just the way that it sat, and it looked like it all flowed together really well. I think this will be a really neat unit to see striding across the battlefield.
That is pretty cool.
Is it Guy Fawkes? I like that.
Yes.
No, not me. I'm not in the game.
Renee Zerg says, hi, your game is awesome. Thank you. Favrandis, we take things like that very seriously, so reaching out to CS is the right thing to do. You did the right thing. I would say please do it. Please continue to do so when you encounter things that aren't to your liking, and they will do their very best to accommodate you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to very quickly plug social one more time. Do you want to show off these guys anymore, or do you want to?
Awesome. When we go do future battles, we'll make sure that they're included. So.
Okay, we'll do this. Okay, so then let's move away from Forged and Fire and talk about the 6.5 patch notes.
Excellent.
Here we go. Pressing the button.
6.5 came out just recently.
Yes.
Earlier this month.
There's a lot of really awesome stuff that happened with 6.5.
Yeah. We're going to actually step through that right now. This base is sort of primed and ready to go, and we'll look at all the new buildings, and we'll look at some of the new bonuses and stuff like that. The DomiNations bonus popped up real quick with that first battle that we did, so we'll take a deep dive in our look at that with our next attack. We've got Hannibal, who's our new university leader. I know that you're a big fan of Hannibal, right?
I am, man. I did a lot of, for those who are just watching a while ago, I was a history teacher, and I did a lot of my studying in college on military history, and specifically on Hannibal. And I by no means know everything, but I know a bit about the guy. I think he's a really interesting historical character, and I was... as a history nerd, I was elated to see him in the game. So very, very cool that we are adding Hannibal and that you can have access to him as a university leader. So yeah, really quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about here with the 6.5 update. A lot of you guys have already messed with this already since you've been playing, but we're going to talk about speed ups, the archive, domination bonus, new Cold War updates, Hannibal, and of course updates to the museum. So let's jump on over to the main slide so you can start showing this stuff off.
Awesome, yeah. The first one, probably a lot of people are going to jump immediately to your university here, and Hannibal is there front and center because he's going to show up there, and he's also going to show up as you go into your castle. As the very first slot there. He starts as a level 21 general when you unlock the ultimate tactician, which is his capstone. When you get all the way through his tech tree, that's the very last one. And that's currently what we have cooking right here. So we are 4 days and 1 hour away from completing that. But I don't know if you want to wait, and so what we can do in the meanwhile is we can build our archive and then work on some speed ups. So if we open our store tab and go to the economy with this brand new building here called the archive, safely stores valuable luxury items like speed ups. All right, so we're gonna get this thing going here. Let's pick a good spot for it. Let's put it up here near the museum. How about that? Right. All our learned buildings together. We'll finish this up real quick, and Pompous will do. I get to do the Pompous voice.
Please do it.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm very excited. The archive stores valuable luxury items like speed ups. Tap the view button to see them.
You guys asked if we LARP. We LARP during the streams.
Yeah. Here you can view all the luxury items and see which ones you own. Upgrading the archive expands what you can use.
Let me turn off these fortune fire guys over here.
Oh, okay. Speed ups are consumable items that can be used to reduce the time needed when building, researching, upgrading artifacts, or the time needed for an expedition. Can I help you use your speed ups? Tap here to see how. Alright, and here are recommended items. Tap this tab to view what you can use speed ups. Alright. Any action that can be sped up and shown here, be sure to check often. Alright, so we have the ultimate tactician, as we said before. This will compile everything that is it's currently working on. Additionally, we added this tab here, which is the discount tab. So if you are in the pop-up window and you see something like this high culture event, and you're curious to know, like, wow, is there another way so that I can tell what's for discount, what I can upgrade really quickly, you can go to this recommended item window as well and check that out. So anyhow, back on tech. We have the speed up here.
Interrupt you real quick.
Yes.
How often did you see requests from the community for something like speed ups?
Oh, well, day 1 we released the game, and day 2,
right,
speed ups.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
I don't know if it was that quick.
And I'm not saying this on the stream to like pat ourselves on the back, but like legitimately, like when you guys post things on the forums and you have requests or ideas, they are looked at, and they are, you know, everyone stares at them and we say, okay, is this doable? Something like speed ups has been asked for all the time, even when, you know, I think we've been doing these streams together for about 9 months now. Even when I first moved on to DomiNations and first started doing the streams with you guys, we got questions about, you know, speeding things up all the time, and so now it's here, and I think that's really cool. And that, you know, there's obviously lots of, you guys have lots of requests all the time, and I'm not just saying this, they do not fall on deaf ears. They are legitimately all looked at, and you know, changes take time, and not everything will be changed, but some things will be.
Yeah. It's Summer for the Ages too sort of allowed the team to think about prompting for speed ups. Like, we did a lot of discounts, and that felt really good, and we did the instant town upgrade, and we thought that felt really good, and the team wanted to include speed ups as a regular part of the game. And so I know that a lot of people are like, were excited for it and had a lot of questions, and like one of the other questions was, hey, where do we get these speed ups and where do they come from on a regular basis? So we can check our league boat, which we have right here. We are in the Empire 2 League right now. We'll check what's in our league boat. And there we go. We got some speed ups in our league boat. Awesome. We're going to grab this 6-hour speed up bounty right here. And that'll show up in the archive. You can get these early if you haven't built your archive yet, and you do have the option. You can certainly collect it. You won't be able to see it in your inventory until you do build that archive, and then in which case they'll be safely stored there and you'll be able to check in on them. The other place will be your victory chest. So I haven't looked at this yet. We'll see if we get any there. Not yet, no dice. We'll have to go and we'll have to get some more stars for our victory chest. We are going to take that leather bounty though. Awesome.
Nexon asked the origin of the name Legs Are Broken. The quick version, it's terrible life decision that like when you choose a name for something when you're like way too young and you shouldn't choose a name for something. In college, I worked for a private investigator. I wanted to have a name that I thought sounded tough. That's the name that I picked, and it has haunted me ever since. So there you go. Dumb decisions with Ash.
Nice. All right, so here we have all of our speed ups, and so that 6-hour one that we claimed from our victory chest earlier, pardon me, from the league boat, showed up here in our speed ups in our archive. This also has really great art, as we talked about art a lot. I really like in the bottom left-hand corner here, you see that scroll on the podium. As you go through the ages, that becomes more and more advanced, and it becomes eventually a stone tablet and things like that. And just phenomenal work by the art department and the building and stuff.
There's a question here in chat. Does the archive level impact the speed-ups you can get in victory chests?
No, I believe 99% sure that is dictated more by the league that you're in.
Okay.
So you do want to work to earn your victories, and then it's determined by that. The level of your archive is determines how many you can use or what you can store. So if we look at this, yeah, see, we would need, if we had a 5-day speed up, in order to use the 5-day speed up, we would need to unlock the next level, the 6th level of archive. So as you unlock your archive, you have access to using these longer and longer speed ups. So, what does it look like when we use the speed up? So we've got our 6-hour speed up right here. We can either tap use speed up from inside the archive, or we can use it from inside the university if we wanted to, from the outside the university, or if we were in the tree, we can use it from here. We could also then go back to the advisor window and use the speed up tab here. It's going to be all over the place, so hopefully you should be able to have it be fairly naturally integrated in part of your current play. We also had a lot of people ask, can you use multiple speed ups? You know, do you have, you know, if you've got 2, can you stack them back to back? You absolutely can. You would just hit this plus button, you know, 2 or 3 times, depending on how many you have, and then you'll watch that time compile. And then immediately, boom, it'll speed up by 6 hours. So that'll cut off your time. One question that we did get also is, hey, if we used it, see, there we go, nicely done. We cut down that 6 hours. One of the other questions we get was, I've got 4 hours left on the building and a 6-hour speed up. What happens to the extra 2 hours?
Right.
It'll be consumed. It is a consumable, so that way, as soon as you say, yes, I want to use a speed up, it'll apply all the possible time. And if it's done at 4 hours, awesome. I mean, you're done and ready to play. All right, so that is one thing to keep in mind when you spend and use these speed ups. All right, the other options still haven't gone away, so if we wanted to speed up and still use crowns to finish this up, we still have that option, so we can do that there. And ta-da! We've researched the ultimate tactician. Let's check it out.
In the speedy fashion.
In the speediest fashion, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
A speedy, long-worded fashion. So, where does he live? He lives here in our fort, and he is a general that he can assign, and Hannibal is right here. Let's look at some stats. He's durable. He deals extra damage to enemy generals. He's weak to ballista towers and spike traps, and he has any favorite target. And of course, we've got the full history of Hannibal, if you're curious. I know that you knew a lot of the history, right? Left Carthage, invaded
absolutely.
Rome.
I mean, he for those of you who are, here's a shameless plug, for those of you who really like digging a little bit more into the historical stuff, we do every once in a while put out blogs on the Nexon forums. So I did post a blog a little bit about Hannibal's history, I think about maybe a week or 2 ago. I should have a link here, but I don't. But anyway, you can go check out the forums. I think it's Nexon Mobile / blog. And then, of course, you can read a little bit more about Hannibal. You know, he did some things that, you know, really no one had done at the time. And so really, if you dig into his history, that's why in a lot of ways he's regarded as this sort of mythical general, because he just defied all odds and really won some of the most one-sided battles in history that he should have lost. He ended up winning through like sheer tactical genius. So a really fascinating guy. Of course, he's known for the elephants. That was more a Carthaginian thing, but it is a truly fascinating character in history.
Awesome. We're going to take this into a friendly challenge so that way we can use him a couple times and get a good look on how he looks and how he works.
Martin Max says, can you please explain his skill tree and why it says Fort General and not just General?
Oh, that's a great question. The titles there should update with the name of the building. So we are Cold War age. We've got our castle upgraded to a fort. It is now called a fort, and that's why it'll say Fort General. If you still have a castle, it should say Castle General. There's a couple of tech trees that have their names changed based on the buildings that you have upgraded as you move throughout history. It's better with the sound effects. You have to make the noises.
This is awesome.
Yeah. All right. Let's get some of this there, and we'll silence this for a moment. All right. Now we'll throw in the alabastiers, and
all right.
There we go, charging in, and immediately begins spawning those elephant compatriots that he's got.
Oh, I love that.
Running straight with a headbutt, yeah.
Elephant headbutt. There's a famous story that the Romans were trying to figure out, because like after Hannibal won at the Battle of Cannae, he stayed in and around Rome, I think, for like between 15 to 17 years. I can't remember which. But he was just outside of Rome, and he didn't have the right equipment to actually sack the city. And Rome had lost so many soldiers that they didn't really have enough soldiers to face him head on. And so they would have these skirmishes, after the Battle of Cannae outside of Rome in Italy. And there's a story, and I'm not 100% sure if it's true, that the Romans actually coated pigs with tar and lit them on fire to send them at the elephants, because the elephants were actually terrified of the sound.
Oh, yeah.
And it would break the morale of the elephants, so the elephants couldn't do their charge. It's a story. I don't know if it's 100% true. You guys feel free to look into it, but it was a weird time for war. People were using some really interesting tactics.
That kind of stuff comes up in conversation on a regular basis in this office, because we're always looking for fun historical things that were true to life. So yeah, we do try to vet and verify stories like that before we put them in the game.
Right.
But we need to know that, yeah, if it happened once, then it is fair game for
Yeah.
our history combat strategy game.
It's hard because a lot of, when you're talking about classical history, like in the time of Hannibal, a lot of history is embellished and very loose, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to know exactly what happened and the specifics of it, but it's all, it's really interesting to read about. There's a question here about community management, and is it a stressful job? Any gray hair? So the truth about community management is I've been doing it for a while, and I genuinely love it. There is, it can be stressful because legitimately you want your community to be happy, and with any game, people that are passionate about any game or anything, there's going to be things that they like and things that they don't like, and so you kind of get accustomed to doing your best to make people happy and talking to them about the things that they like and the things they don't like. So typically it does not ever give me gray hairs. I appreciate constructive criticism. I don't appreciate just like general nastiness across the board in life. So it's like, I mean, no one really appreciates nastiness, but if someone has like a complaint or like an issue or something that they don't like, and they are articulate and they express it in a way that like I can relate to, I think that's awesome. Yeah. And I don't have any problems with that. So it doesn't typically bother me.
I think one of the nice things about these live streams is it sort of puts a face on it, and it allows us to get to know you better, and I think that allows it to make it feel more human as well. We do care about the game, we care about you guys. I get excited to like come into work and talk about this every day, and so I think it's really, really great.
Yeah, I think so too. So thank you for the question. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to show off any more? You want to show off Hannibal in action again, or do you want to just move on and show off some of the other stuff from the?
Well, the other thing I wanted to show was this factory. The factory got a new level. If you're in Cold War, you can now move your factory to level 9, which unlocks new levels for all of your other factory troops. So we're gonna push through and update that after the break. Pardon me. Yeah, I was playing around a little earlier.
Oh, it's okay.
After the break, we'd have to do some rating. We could do that, but we'll have to do that after the break.
Good deal.
Cool. we can go and try. There's there's one more thing that I wanted to show about Hannibal. So we'll go off against this. This is an easier base. So there's some of the animation, and then the 2 bars. I don't know if you saw that. I meant to call it out during the battle. We ended up talking about history and all sorts of other fun stuff. But when we deploy him, he'll be able to hold his own for quite a while. He's got that purple bar there above the character.
Yeah.
And that fills up super quick. That is his, if you haven't used any APCs yet or anything like that, that's his cooldown for the next time that he'll spawn elephants.
Awesome.
So he needs to have that bar absolutely full before he can have any more elephants join him on the battlefield. He can only have a max of 2 at any one time, so he's obviously
once one falls.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, once one falls, then he's got that purple meter filled all the way up, and that's separate than that blue health bar right there.
I love his leopard cape that he's wearing.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. So let's get him some backup, and we'll take out the space. It's nice and easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as a history nerd, I encourage you guys that are watching that haven't taken even just like a 20 minutes to read about Hannibal, read about some of his exploits. His trip across the Alps is really what he's most famously known for, because he brought this massive army from Carthage all the way across Africa and then across Spain and across the Alps. Like half of them died. It was insane. But then when he got there, the Romans had no idea that he was coming. So it was a really, a wild story. And then the rest of the stories surrounding Hannibal are pretty fantastic as well. Just, his sheer will to kind of put the Romans in their place as they were growing in power before they became an official empire. It was pretty cool. It was an interesting time. And one of the things I said in the blog I wrote about Hannibal was that it had the Punic Wars ended differently and had Carthage won in the end, it would have history would have been completely different, because they were like really at the time the most powerful opposition to Rome. So had they not fallen, and had not Rome ultimately defeated them, we could live in a very different world, because a lot of our world is modeled after Rome.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see how different it would be.
That would have altered all of the Renaissance era.
Yeah,
and that would have changed all of medieval Europe, and that would have changed.
Yeah, but it's cool. That's one of my favorite things about history, is thinking about the chain reaction and what would happen if one of the links in that chain was different or broke or was altered, and like where would history be?
Right.
And that's really the cool thing about DomiNations in general, is like you get to play with all these different factions and stuff that should never meet with one another, but you get to kind of throw them on the battlefield and have a little like headcanon of these little matches, and I think it's really fantastic.
You get to cross the Rubicon in your own way.
Yes, cross your own personal Rubicon.
There you go. That was for you, history nerds.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So do you want to talk a little bit about, let's see, domination bonus?
Domination bonus. Yes, absolutely. I like the domination bonus. There used to be a separate set of bonuses if you destroyed every type of resource. So if you destroyed all of the oil resources or all of the gold resources, there were piles of gold that showed up on the bases, obviously, or if you destroyed all the farms, then you would get a bonus for that type. The domination bonus gets rid of those confusing, broken out bonuses, and now gives you larger bonuses based on how many stars you earn. You also get a larger bonus if you're attacking a base that's stronger than you are. At Cold War, you will get a larger bonus if you attack other Cold War bases, since it's the current top of the game as well. So yeah, let's try that out. It's tallied both. It's shown both before you start battle and then tallied afterwards as well. So if we are good to go, we'll hit that battle. Maybe add some blessings.
You can do it. I have faith.
Awesome. Fingers crossed. All right. So we got those guys, and we're gonna find our opponent. It'll appear here in the upper right-hand corner. There you go. This shows the 5-star bonus, which is the largest bonus you can get. It is a scaling bonus, though, so even if you wind up getting 2 stars or 1 or 3 stars, you will get some of that domination bonus as well. All right, so
see a lot of positive comments in chat right now about domination bonus. I love domination bonus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Callie's saying don't use troop tactics. We're gonna use some. They're fun.
Yeah. They get to add some different flavor to the game. So that way we've got, what do we have now? We've got the Korean War Battalion, which was really neat. That came out during the summer for the ages. It will periodically drop follow troops. So I don't know if you'll see some of those guys drop in every once in a while. Stay nice and tight so that we can see them if they show up. We're gonna have to handle that missile silo in just a moment though. So let's add our generals. Here we go. That'll probably trigger the missile silo if it hasn't been already. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right, you calm down for just 1 minute and let's distract everybody here as we march in our troops. And maybe...
Martin has a good question. One I know that we really can't answer yet, but I still think it's a good question. It says, will you add special skills like Hannibal has to other generals as well? Maybe reaching a certain general level, please.
That's a great question and a great suggestion. Hannibal is sort of a special case because he strides that that line between university leader and general. So he's got both the cleverness and the cunningness. So I think that's what's made him a special case so far. But we have had a number of unique generals as well. So who knows?
Yeah,
we'll definitely pass it along to the rest of the development team.
Dracula says, he or she says, loves the domination bonus too.
Awesome. Let's get some more plans.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking that. We've seen a lot of really positive feedback on 6.5, so thank you for that. We very much appreciate reading the things that you guys like and the things that you don't like. We read it all. Mr. Lax, I see the request for the happy birthday song. If we make it to the end and we still have energy, we will sing happy birthday at the end of the stream. All right, so just remind me at the end as we're winding down, if you hang out the whole time.
All right, we got our guys slowly working in a. We're working in a loose line. There's sort of the broken battle line. But they're doing all right. Animals going away at it. There we go. Just spawning some more elephants. Go.
Hanging in there.
Go with those elephants. I think that elephant retinue is really going to help him do a lot of damage on the battlefield. Oh, and he starts at level 21 as well, too. So he has that big jump in experience. Point of talking. Let's get some more guys going.
I'm such a nerd. I love watching Hannibal just wreck shop on those walls.
Yeah. Ta-da! All right, so we got 4 stars.
Very nice.
So not bad. I need to get a little quicker with that. But then you have that domination bonus field. Bump, 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 bump. We got 4 bars in there. And then directly below that, we now see the additional gold, food, and oil that we earned. Plus we have some surviving troops so that we don't have to train those as well. And looks like we got the marble there as the trade good bonus. Awesome. Cool. So we will head home. Well, of course, you got your mysterious fragments there, those 50 pieces in the middle.
Nice.
That'll add at our museum. We can go poke over at the museum for a little bit. We haven't really touched that yet.
Yeah, let's do that.
Also in the update, we added brand new museum pieces from the Americas and from Africa. And that also came along with a number of other bonuses that you can unlock as we do that. So let's make sure that we collect and craft. Craft for 4, or for 5, pardon me. All right, bronze helmet armor. That looks like it's a new piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Invading bazooka damage, plus -6%. That's pretty good.
What era is that helmet from?
That I don't know. We can go back and look
Z
at that
Redline Z. Thanks for the follow. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Oh, did you put the Arbalastier as
I
the
did.
thing?
I did.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's the Arbalastier is the following animation this week.
Nice. If you have a suggestion for the follow troop you'd like to see, leave it in the comments, and we'll make sure we can swap it out for next time.
Sure. Can do
All right. Bazooka hit points plus 11%. Awesome. The Dao sword.
Ah. Okay. Let's see Robin's helmet.
But Agrippa boots. These are 1%. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at that.
I think my dad has a pair of Agrippa boots at home. They just kind of look like advanced Tivas, you know?
Yeah.
Like level 12 Tivas.
Right. Except I don't think anybody's going to be wearing socks with those.
You just got a compliment. Tin has gotten a lot better at attacking.
I did, yeah!
We're clapping.
See, practice long enough.
Yeah.
So.
Winnie122, thank you for the follow.
Yeah. Actually, Brad, one of our game designers, gave me some pointers, which was really good. He's a clever dude. So, all right, let's we can maybe trade one or two of these guys out, right? We don't need. We can sell. Let's get rid of this, that. We'll get rid of some of the stuff that we're not using. Ba, ba, ba. And of course, when you sell it, you get blueprints and more mysterious fragments. So it's not a bad idea to consider carefully what you're carrying with you and what you can use to further upgrade your museum artifacts. Which one was this? This one was the 1%, and this one was the 1%. So let's get rid of those guys.
Getting some requests here. So Gail says she wants a reject artifact button. And Nexon, please hire me, says, can you add a sell artifact as soon as you open it? And that's honestly, not only like, do we legitimately look at all of your requests, but people will go back and look at like a lot of your comments here in chat as well. So, you know, while we probably can't comment yes or no right now, definitely it does not hurt to ask. Yeah. It does not hurt to ask in chat. So keep those coming and we appreciate it. King D. Hoogster, thank you for the follow.
Oh, awesome. He does videos and stuff.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
So yeah, so he's got a lot of good strategy. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can check him out.
Major, we actually are going to be talking a lot about the rebalance in the second hour. So we have a lot of questions that we pulled from social channels and from all over the place. And we're going to be talking specifically about the rebalance and answering a lot of the questions that you guys have and have already had. So hang in there. Right after our quick like 5-minute break, we'll come back and we'll answer a bunch of questions. Okay. So thank you.
Awesome. So that's some of the new art that that you can look forward to is from the Americas and from Africa. A lot of the bonuses there are much more are combat focused bonuses too for
Cool.
different types of troops and different types of defensive buildings.
Very cool.
I think there's a full list on the forums.
I think so too. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and plug our social one more time and quickly plug the Forge and Fire stuff very quickly.
Awesome.
So here's social. Okay. So here's our social media stuff. Again, follow us there. I'm not going to say it all again, but if you want to go to the forums, everything like in-depth descriptions of everything we're talking about are there. So you have in-depth patch notes and balance changes and all that stuff is there for you to kind of stare at and number crunch and do all that stuff that you guys do. That's I think is super great. So hang out there and check it out. Forum.nexonm.com. And of course, hit us up on all of our social channels. Like we said, we put out stuff early. All the time, pretty much every single day, there's something new to look at there on our social channels. So follow us there. The other thing, very quickly, I want to have you guys guess at these Forged and Fire troops one more time. So these guys are available now, the Arbalastiers. We showed them in combat. They're pretty awesome using the banned heavy crossbow. And here is some upcoming guys. Now, we can't say how long the relationship with Forged and Fire is lasting, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff. And the neat thing is you'll get to see a lot of the weapons that the units are wielding actually appear on the television show. So you'll get to see them forge them and use them, and it's pretty awesome. So here is one. Here is another.
Yeah, and these events will go hand in hand. So when we go to the next event, it won't be the Forged and Fire steel crossbow. It'll be the Forged and Fire surprise mystery unit.
Yes. Yes. And finally.
Oh yeah.
He has two big pieces of pizza.
Somebody said dual wielding carrots as well.
Dual wielding carrots.
Yeah.
Who knows what it is?
But it'll be delicious.
Is
it lunchtime?
It is definitely lunchtime. Yeah, we're spending our lunchtime with you guys. Food soon. Anyway, so that stuff is really exciting, and I can't wait to hear. And the other good news about it is it's all stuff that you can earn through in-game events.
Yes.
So that's important to kind of point out. So.
Exactly, just through your natural play. See, as we did our last attack, we killed some defenders in battle. That also gives you some different ways to think about your troop composition. So if you want to, kill more defenders, say, hey, maybe I'm going to bring some machine gunners into battle this time. You'll put some of your heavy tanks in front to soak up the damage, and put your machine gunners in the back, and they'll just wipe out the guys, and then boost your score, and you'll be able to unlock some more of these crossbowmen.
Very cool. You guys are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's we have a little bit of time before our break. Let's jump on over and do some of our community corner stuff, so that way we have more time for Q&A and stuff with the rebalance on the second hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some community content now, which I think is a lot of fun. And the first thing is, hold on, I wrote a lot of information down so I don't screw this up. The first thing is Battle of the Brains, and I legitimately am going to try. I do not consider myself a brain by any means, but I love trivia stuff. So let me get the information about this now. This is a trivia night. All the information is up here on the screen, which is wonderful. So thank you for providing this. But every fourth Friday, there is a trivia. You can go to the link here, bit.ly DNP or DN Prime, DomiNations Prime.
Yep.
And you can participate in group trivia, which is just awesome. So it's 5 players will compete in a series of themed trivia rounds, totally for fun, just to socialize and make friends in the community and hang out and do trivia. I think this is amazing. I think it's super fun. I love when communities get together and do stuff that's not necessarily related just to the game. It's just about being a community. Yeah. So I think this is fantastic. Definitely check it out. Take a screenshot so you have all the links there and everything for you, and join in the fun. I'm actually going to try and join. I don't know if I can do the next one, but maybe the one after that I will join in and hang out at the very least, which I think is great. All right, so this one's sort of in the works. It is the Relic Hunters Challenge, and I thought this event was so cool because it's so outside the box and so different. It's all about being like a ridiculous archaeologist or explorer and building what you can with what artifacts you can, and being the best museum curator. So there's not too many specifics about this now, but I love that this challenge is specifically about digging up stuff in the museum and being the best or the worst at being a museum curator. So
yeah, well, I'm gonna hopefully win. I know a thing or two about this museum here.
Yeah.
Except no, I'm gonna show up and be shown up 10 times more by the community.
Right.
I know that on a number of streams, I know that Doom Raider does polls on a regular basis, and he does a lot of reviews. I know that, but yeah, there's sometimes whole dedicated parts of the chat where you guys show off the different artifacts that you guys get. So I think this has been in brewing for a while, so it's nice to see it take shape and be given a name and stuff. So
yeah, I think it's really cool. And the notes say that it's rumored to span over a few weeks, involving interesting artifacts and more information coming soon. But I think this is super cool. And I see questions or suggestions in the chat that BHG should make a trivia team. I think that's a great idea. I think you guys should make a trivia team. That would be so awesome.
We'll have to poke some folks around the office.
Yeah, go in and do some trivia.
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right, so the next is the fire pit. I made a little here. I'm going to type this in the chat so the link is all long and such. So let's see if my command works here. Fire pit. There we go. Okay, so this is a link where you can get involved and check out the Fire Pit podcast. I'm a big podcast guy. I love podcasts. I love that there is a DomiNations podcast featuring It's Dukes and Ward. It takes place
Sunday nights.
Thank you. Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern.
In the sandbox.
In the sandbox. So you go on Discord, it's in the sandbox. Then, of course, it's available later on SoundCloud. So if you like audio and that's the way you like to consume your media, I'm a big audio guy. I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm doing chores like washing dishes and mowing the lawn and doing all like adult stuff. I'm listening to podcasts and still nerding out on the things I love. So I suggest checking this out. Yeah. I think it's cool. I may hop on this one later on too.
I learned a lot about the community through this podcast. Ward, who's now the co-host, was the first guest, and she is sort of this leader or an icon within the Gypsies. There's a roving group of players inside DomiNations that don't necessarily belong to a single alliance, but they jump from alliance to alliance to alliance just to say hi and just to visit. And that was, I sort of heard whispers about it, but to have an interview and to learn more about it, it made me feel more engaged in the community, and made me learn a lot. So I recommend you checking this out on Sundays.
Yes. Dave American Haw, thank you for following us. I appreciate it. Sorry, I was
American Hawks.
Thank you. I was having a hard time reading that. My brain is starting to shut down.
Yep. Actually, I've spoken with him before.
Yes, definitely. I will put the fire pit up one more time in chat so you guys can link to it. And then please, you know, give them a follow and tune in on Sundays or what day?
Sunday.
Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. All right, so what else do we have in our community corner? And by the way, very quickly, if you are doing something in the community, so these are all folks that have reached out and said, hey, these are the cool things that we're doing. Please let us know on the social channels. Let us know on the forums. Let us know on Facebook or Twitter. We read all that stuff. So just let us know that you have something in the works, and we'll do our very best to plug it. Okay, so we'll plug as much as we can when we can. All right, so
Gail just want to have fun. This is a Saturday live stream with Gail. It's on YouTube. She goes over tactics and strategies. Actually, it was really funny. We were looking at a number of the live streams and videos that you guys put together, and there were some that were doing reviews of our live stream.
Oh no!
It was really meta because I was watching your stream, watching and reviewing our stream.
Yeah.
And so it was...
That's the hardest. That's so hard. Gosh, it's really hard.
I think we turned out okay.
We did okay.
We did okay.
Like a B-ish. The next one of these we want to talk about is September 29th at 1400 UTC. It's you know, a really positive show highlighting all the things going on in DomiNations. We appreciate Gail doing it. It is Gail's birthday, so happy birthday to Gail, and thank you for spending part of your birthday with us on our live stream. We would throw some cake your way, but I don't know
if it just gets in the camera.
I don't know if it would make it there. So like I said, if you stick around to the end, we'll sing to you. We can't say it'll be good, but singing will happen for those that want to sing or sit around and sing with us. So there you go. All right, cool. So what else? Sorry, I forgot I was driving this thing. We have, I think, one or two more. Doom Raider. We've been neglecting to mention Doom Raider for like months now.
I think we bring him up when we're like, oh man, we should get Doom Raider to give us suggestions on how to design this base.
Right. Yeah. Doom Raider is really great at what he does. A lot of you guys are already watching a lot of his YouTube videos. I watch them pretty frequently. I think the thing I like about Doom Raider is he's honest, he's critical, but he's most of the time very positive, produces great content. I love the video he had with his son too. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah,
that was really great. So check out. Honestly, all you have to do is go into YouTube and type in Doom Raider. I don't have any URLs with me now, but he does really great content, really deep dive, great analysis of patches, great analysis of all the new stuff that we put out. He typically puts out a video. Very knowledgeable about the game. Definitely check out Doom Raider.
It was great to see some turnarounds. I know that when we did this most recent release, Doom Raider grabbed the patch notes like day they were released and had a video just a couple hours later where he went through line by line with the patch notes and discussed what the changes were and gave his feedback and opinions. And I thought that was really cool. Mr. Lax also did a similar video the day that it was available. And then he could take the patch notes and put them side by side with the release as he got it in his hands. So Mr. Lax did a great job as well with his release video.
Very cool. So yeah, definitely check out Doom Raider. Like I said, just go to YouTube, type in Doom Raider. He's got tons and tons of content. We appreciate it. And like I said earlier as well, there's nothing wrong with being critical, and there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. Like, that is warranted, and that is like completely fine in my book. Like, so keep that stuff coming.
Awesome. And no Velcro shoes is a call out in the chat for that. So yeah, cool. He does great videos. Really good commentary too.
Good stuff. All right, so here we have I have lots to read about this one. The Continental World Cup. Let me find my piece of my cheat sheet here.
I have a lot of it up here.
You have a lot of it up there. You've probably been looking at it. So this one's been going on for a while. I think we've plugged it on 2 or 3 streams. It is, like, honestly just wildly ambitious and super cool that they're doing this, but it is in week 13 of an estimated 16-week tournament with 500 registered players from 300 alliances from literally all over the world. Match 10, the finals will take place in a week, which is in 3 weeks from now, which is week 16. My apologies. And it says Europe is undefeated thus far. If they lose match 10, an 11th match will be held. And you can go, of course, to the website. I think we have a link to it.
It's there at the bottom, bit.ly.
Yes.
CWC, yeah.
Yeah, I think you can post the link in the chat as well. It should pop up in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I have this in my brain because tomorrow morning I'm going to be the one that's going to match that North America versus Asia war.
Yeah.
So yeah, so fingers crossed.
It is very cool. And so this is, for those just tuning in and don't know what this is a grand tournament put on by members of the community that have matched up people from all over the world in different alliances, and to have this massive 16-week event, which is just, like I said, wildly ambitious and very, very cool. And I just think it's really admirable.
Yeah.
So.
And it's being run and driven by you.
Yep.
I like talking about it, and I like making the matches. But after that, it's up to you guys to go fight, win.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, so Maggie just went ahead and posted the information there in the chat, so you guys can hop in there if you want to learn a little bit more. Obviously, I don't think at this point you can join in and participate, but it's still cool to see, you know.
Yeah.
And who knows what the next massive one is going to be. Something tells me there'll be one brewing, so.
Oh, there's one. Well, so not a big massive event, but there is a community war, and I think it's gonna be super cute for October. I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder, but for Halloween, there's going to be a war between angels and vamps and the Hobbit zombies. It'll be the Halloween war between the vamps and the zombies.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. I think that was it for all of our community stuff on this. Yes.
I think so. I think
that was it. That was it. All right, we're going to hop over to this just for a couple of seconds. So yeah, we're almost at the 1 hour mark. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to be doing a lot of Q&A with the development team. So you'll have numerous devs on here to talk about some of the balance changes and other stuff coming to DomiNations. There'll be lots of cool information, an opportunity to ask some more questions, and just to kind of hang out and to play with us, which I think will be really fun. So like I said, we're going to take 5, grab some water, and I see lots of more positive comments in the chat. Thank you, Spiral70, for saying love the show. Thank you. We appreciate that very much. And for those of you who have been asking sort of like deeper, higher level questions, we'll try and address those as best we can. And like I said, we grabbed a lot of questions that we saw on the forums and on our various social channels as well. So we're going to address those right after the break. Okay, so we'll be right back with some more information, some devs, and some more DomiNations.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. back. Thank you guys for your patience. We've got drinks. And
We did it.
snacks,
And people, and friends.
water, people, friends. Thank you for tuning into hour 2. This is the hour where we address a lot of questions and hang out and chat with you guys. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Sure. What's going on, guys? I'm Brad, and gals, I should say. I'm a designer on DomiNations.
Hello everyone, my name's Kayla, and I'm also a designer on DomiNations.
Thank you guys. You guys just came from they had like burger time at the building today, which was, I was jealous of missing burger time, but I saw the line for burger time and I was like, oh, I'm not happy.
Not that jealous?
That it was, yeah, I'm not that jealous.
If you go right now, there's probably leftovers.
And there probably are lots
All
of
right, we're taking
leftovers.
another 5-minute break on the stream and get some burgers.
Yeah, everyone's gonna love watching us eat burgers and not talking about the game. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking a lot about a rebalance. We're going to be talking a lot about some of the changes coming to DomiNations, and we've taken questions from all the social channels. And you've actually read. Didn't you tell me yesterday that you read every single comment on the forums?
Yep.
Every single one, guys, and that is not BS. Like we were talking about it yesterday, because one of the questions I wanted to ask is like how often are the developers in the social channels on the forums reading feedback and things like that. You've read all of them, which is wild. Like it's my job to read them, but like, but you did it on your own because you wanted to get player feedback. So I think that's really admirable. I'm not telling you guys that you should give them a round of applause at home, but you probably should because that's a very big deal. And I genuinely think that means the developers kind of care about this stuff. So. Can you tell me just a little bit about your history before we get into the specific questions that were popping up on social channels? Your history with the rebalance. So how did it come to be? Why rebalance now? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have this swath of data that we look at for player actions in the game, and we track almost every single thing from like what windows you're tapping into when you log into play, to what troops you're bringing to battle, to how you're doing in those battles. So is one of the things that's really awesome to me about game design, especially nowadays, is that having all that data really helps provide just a different viewpoint on certain topics in the game. So with the combat, one of the things that we've seen in the data is that same age war battle. So if you're Cold War age and you're fighting another Cold War age player, we see that about half of those battles end up being 5 stars, and so we looked at that number and said, hey, okay, that's a little high, but let's start digging more into, are they, what kind of troops are they bringing? Are people attacking with full armies? And so the rebalance is sort of born out of this need to make sure that combat remains interesting, and that, if the game is too easy and you can just 5-star without thinking about it that much, sure, it's going to feel really good in the short term, but you're not going to be interested in going into doing your 5th or 10th or 20th war when you feel like you kind of solved battles that way.
Oh, I'm getting a request to lower game volume a little bit. Sorry. Let me get that real quick for you guys. I'm going to lower that during our interviewee section here. Is that good? You guys hear better now? Should be better. Okay. Yeah, it's hard. Okay, so audio should be better now. We should be all good. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because so how did sort of the analysis of player data end up leading to some of your decisions with rebalance? Like when you're looking at stats of, like you mentioned, like you saw how many people were getting 5 stars. Like how did that all kind of compute? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, for us, we want to, we want players to feel like there's always sort of that next level of achievement that they can hit within combat. So, if you feel like you're always 5-starring, then there really isn't sort of that next step up for you in terms of like advancing your army or being better at attacking and dropping your troops. So we saw that number of 5 stars and said, okay, well, we got to bring that down just a little bit so that there's a little bit more for players to strive for in battle.
I know you've thought about it as a puzzle too in the past when we've had our discussions, like,
right.
Oh, strategy should be something that you're constantly thinking about, like, is this the right composition, or is this the right mix of not just troops but like tactics and strategies as the full game develops. So
Prodigal Clint in chat asks, what were player levels within ages looked at? Level 301 taking on 235 taking on 280, and a number of players in these pools. So he's wondering, like, what what specifically, like what data you looked at in the matchups was being looked at when you were kind of looking at these wins?
So we looked at basically every win for a player of a given age versus a player of another given age, and that provides a pretty wide spectrum in terms of you think about, okay, so I'm a player who just got to the atomic age. That means most of my defenses are still going to be global age, but a player at the very end of atomic age who's already got all their upgrades, they're still going to attack my base and probably 5-star it because they're just so much farther ahead in that age. So that's sort of one end of the spectrum, and the other end is like, okay, well, yeah, if I just got to atomic and then I have to attack that late age, that person who's much higher in atomic, I may not do as well. So there is a pretty wide spectrum in terms of just power level, even within a given age. But generally, we want players to be able to look at it and say, like, okay, well, like, yeah, this person, their atomic age, so their power level should be X, and if I'm in that age, then I should have about the same power level, depending on where I am in that age.
Okay, that makes sense. So this question came, I think, from Reddit, and I don't know if you can give a specific answer yet, but how many stages are planned for the rebalance?
We've got a handful. So stage 1 went out today, and each stage is sort of themed around a different part of the base. I don't want to give away too much about the next stages because there's a lot of changes coming, and a lot of changes that I'm really, really excited about in terms of ways I think they're going to make combat much more interesting for players.
Right. And I say this every time we do a stream. A lot of times when we're kind of coy and we don't give like really solid answers, it's not because we're trying to be weird or mean or anything like that. It's because the game is changing all the time, and we don't want to say that something's going to happen and have it change. So game design is just that way. So that's why you get a lot of non-answers, and we'll answer as clearly as possible when everything is rock solid. So several stages coming to the rebalance. Another question we had, are players going to notice these changes instantaneously? Is the game going to feel like very different? Is it something they're going to notice overnight?
Yeah, I mean, it's, the changes are going to go out, and your game is just going to update automatically. So once those changes go out, you'll be able to see those in your different army info wins. But our hope is that with each stage there isn't this huge tremendous change. But when we start adding in up the changes from each of these stages, that combat starts to feel a little bit different and a little bit better, as each stage sort of contains some of the needed defensive changes, but then also offensive changes that are going to help support that and make that much more interesting.
A question in the chat, which I think we can address, is are you going to improve troops like the machine gunners, MRLs, and commandos to make them worth using?
Well, I thought it was interesting because when you do read all the forum comments, there were so many units called out, and I don't know if we can say yes or no on one particular group, but it was some comfort in knowing that the player base was thinking similar to what our thinking was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the forums for the most part were spot on. I know there's one response in particular that I can't call out because they'll give away the answers, but I was like, yep, we're doing that, and we're doing that, and we're doing that. So yeah, we're definitely looking at a lot of different troops, and there's a lot of change. I mean, this is the most balance changes that we've ever done to the game. So exciting. And
did it make you did it make you nervous? Like when you were thinking about these changes, were you concerned about like how people would react even internally? Like when you first were like, these changes are going to happen, like what was it like in even in the studio? Was it strange or?
Yeah, I think it was a little scary at first because change is scary, and but when we started getting our hands on and playtesting the new changes internally, we felt like, oh yeah, it's different, but it doesn't feel that much different.
Right.
So it does help that we get to use all the best stuff in each age, but yeah, I mean, I think with any given change, there's going to be some uncertainty, and so
it's exciting though. It's really cool, and like everything that I've heard internally, it's like it's all about the game feeling more tactical and you know, and kind of adding to just the strategic, an extra layer of strategy, and kind of moving away from like the tried and true tactics to, you know, to always get 5 stars. I think it's really cool, like what you guys are doing. I get questions about these guys all the time. Will troop tactics like elephant archers be changed in this rebalance?
So one of the biggest challenges of this rebalance is that everything in the game is sort of linked to another. In terms of like the troops and the buildings and tactics, they're all sort of linked in one manner. So we have a large number of troop tactics in the game. I think it's something like over 100. I think it's closer to like 150 different troop tactics. So we looked at, okay, well, what are the sort of the mainline troops we're going to change? We saw that, oh yeah, well, if we're changing those, then it makes sense to also change, you know, something that's very, very similar, either in function or aesthetics, to that mainline troop. So we are changing a large number of troop tactics, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good to stop while you're at. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
But I will say that, you know, with every stage we have the design spotlight that comes out that sort of gives you know, the 2 cents of why we're making the change and a quick list of the changes. But we're also doing extensive patch notes, so you'll see the before and after for every stat that we're going to change.
That's awesome.
Which was a lot to write, but it was worth it.
Yeah, that's very cool.
We're trying to introduce those in different ways. So we'll have a spotlight that was, you know, sort of the summary, and then we'll have full patch notes so you can see the old stats and the new stats. I know that there was somebody in the forums who had like went through and grabbed all the building stats so that way they had a snapshot, but we do want to provide that too, so that way we're upfront and clear about all the changes that are happening.
All right. So Prodigal Clint says, this is great, by the way. Thank you. You're very welcome. We appreciate all the comments, positive and critical, in the chat, and doesn't hurt our feelings. You know, that's we are excited that you guys are passionate about the game, so I think that's great. Can you tell us about anything about the future steps of the rebalance? Kind of what is coming next? I know that's sort of a broad question, but you said something when we were kind of chatting about this ahead of time that I thought was really interesting. So do you want to kind of share your thoughts on like the future and where it's going to be heading?
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of just one large pit stop on this road of rebalance. It's never really finished. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do for sure, and this to us is sort of just a something that we've needed to do for a little while. But I'm already looking at other changes that we can make after this set that goes out, that'll continue to look at, again, troops that we know that people aren't using as much. Why is that? How can we make those troops better? So, yeah, for me, I think the goal of this rebalance is to get combat into a better place than it is now, a place where there's a lot more viable troop and army compositions that maybe don't currently exist today. So that, yeah, there's a lot of discussion from the players too of like, hey, now there's a totally new set of options that players have when they go to attack.
Right. I think that's really interesting too, because like initially, like even what we're seeing on our social channels is like people are apprehensive of this change because, like I said, they're used to playing a very specific way. But the idea to me as a player and as just someone who loves games of a new layer of strategy by different compositions and different builds, team builds, I think is just really exciting. Like in the fact that we don't really know what players are going to come up with that is like the most effective tactic available. Like what is the new meta going to be based on like all of these changes? And I think that's really exciting and super cool. So
you said before, Brad, that you thought of a lot of the units as functional pieces that serve a specific role, and the rebalance is trying to get those pieces working as intended to help the army in general. So that's part of the goal as well, if I've understood it correctly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now there's probably like one or two troops in each role that kind of are the best in class, and what we want to see is more troops help fill those roles so that you can say, oh, okay, well maybe I can fill in troop X instead of troop Y in this army type. And if we've done our jobs correctly, then what that'll do is then encourage players and defenders to rearrange their base to try to defend against those new types of army compositions. So, it's just like an example. If you have a very infantry heavy army, a base that has a lot of outward-facing readouts that are protected by walls, those are going to be much harder to attack because they're going to take out a large chunk of those infantry hit points while they're trying to get through the walls. But if that same base is then attacked with, a tank army or heavy tank army, those readouts aren't going to be as effective, and so that's going to encourage that player who's getting attacked to then say, okay, well, if they're bringing if they're bringing heavy tanks, maybe I should bring something like the anti-tank guns. I should put those at the forefront of my base so that those can start taking out the tanks before they get through the walls. So hopefully there's a lot of more back and forth of people coming up with new interesting army compositions, and then players figuring out new ways to defend against those.
Yeah, and make videos of this stuff and put it up and share it with us. We want to see this new stuff in action as it's implemented, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see the changes in action. An interesting question from Z Redline says, well, I don't want to break things by scrolling up here, but would you ever consider a satellite-based orbital bombardment and satellite-based counter-satellite in the game? So he wants GoldenEye.
Right. Well, according to the Space Treaty of the 1960s, there aren't supposed to be any weapons in space.
Yeah.
Supposed to be. Right.
Yeah.
Which would, any force of space.
And GoldenEye was just like a big mirror, right? Like it was like
something like that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a great question. I love pitches like that, so please feel free to ask those. All right. So Kayla, I want to talk to you about Hannibal. Okay. I'm very excited. Explain sort of how Hannibal was the next choice for the university and sort of where he came to be.
So actually we were since we released the Cold War Age and before that released the Atomic Age, and we pay a lot of attention to our late age players. So we even give like global age players with missile silo, like all these new things for later age players, but it's almost like, I don't say we're neglecting the earlier age guys, but we kind of don't give them as much attention all the time. So we wanted to give a university leader that not only could be beneficial to later age players, but also be beneficial to players that aren't quite there yet, but they're still working on getting to Atomic and Cold War Age. Right. So actually, that's how Hannibal came to be. We're thinking about having an earlier game leader. And little fun fact, he actually was on the short list for leaders for the first round of university leaders. Like,
oh, really? I didn't even know that. That's cool.
So we actually, I talked to a previous designer that's, he's not in the room right now, but no, he's still back there in the company.
So he was pitched a long time ago.
He was pitched a long time ago, but I didn't know that when I started working on him, and then I brought it up to him, and he was like, "Oh man, like I feel like it's coming back from the grave, kind of like that."
Yeah,
so,
brought him back. That's great.
So, look for an earlier age leader, and then we know our players really like, of course, their offensive things, right? So generals and using their tactics. And
yeah, we just saw him in action, and it's like so awesome to see him on the battlefield, and just his elephants are super hardy, and he's pretty good on the offense. I think it's great.
Yes, he also actually spawns elephants on defense as well. So we're really mostly looking for something from the early ages, and we wanted to focus on tactics and strategy and generals, because we didn't really have a leader that really focused on generals. There's a few other university leaders that have maybe one or two university texts that actually help upgrade your generals, things like that, but they weren't as beefy as Hannibal's. So actually, if you go through Hannibal's upgrade tree and actually do his upgrade cost skill, and then actually go back to Suleiman, you can get an extra 10% if you actually complete Hannibal's.
So it's a good way of playing the system.
Yeah, it's playing the system, going
That's
back
great.
and forth with other different
really
university
cool.
leaders to get more out of it.
Yeah, he's really exciting. We had a question here from Reddit. It says, this is from E-Rock. He says, can you comment if Hannibal's elements level when he levels, or if they always have the same stats regardless of his level? So. Yep,
so actually elephants do level up. They level up about every 10 levels, kind of like it's more like they're aging up.
Okay.
So when the general has basically gone to be the next age power, that's when the elephants then also get their new stats.
Awesome.
And they are melee. I think I saw that in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, that was actually the next question. Was we showed them in action, but if you missed Hannibal in action, the question was, are they ranged or melee? And they are definitely melee. Yeah. Little tusk butts. Not really a head butts, like a tusk butts. That doesn't sound right.
I know somebody. You're gonna ask one about the thing.
Yes.
Tanks? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, will Hannibal ever be in a tank?
No, he will not.
No, he will not.
We actually, it was definitely a decision to keep him on his elephant the entire time. He'll be the only general, at least for now, that does not transform into a tank.
That stays inside of his elephant.
Yes.
Very cool. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, but will the other elephants get tanks?
That is. Wait a minute. What's happening
That
here?
might be a really cool thing. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So Obe on Twitter says, he says he was thankful that the general could be completed in the industrial age. Was there a big push to make this general an earlier age general? So
Yes.
yeah.
Definitely. The last few, well, not Montezuma, but before him, we had Haile Selassie and we had Amelia Earhart. But in both of those university leaders definitely focused more on planes and later age players. So it had been a while, other than Montezuma with his economy boost, to really give more army boosts to earlier age players. And we also wanted to focus on giving a new shiny museum part for his tree as well.
Right.
So if the very first level is actually, you get the mysterious fragments.
Very cool.
There as well.
A couple questions here in chat. Some of them are funny, some of them are serious. Z Redline asks, are they going to get elephant-like tanks? So like a tank in the shape of an elephant? I don't know how well that would go over. The other one is, will there ever be an increase to the number of spawns? So right now it's 2 max, right?
Yes,
So
you can have 2 max. We're not currently looking at that, but because he's so new and we're also doing the balance changes and things like that to the game, if we find that it might be better for him to get more, we can look at that. But right now, since he's so brand new, we're going to keep him having 2 out at a time.
Mr. Lax asks, will we see a nation rebalance? And that's a question we see on social channels all the time. I don't think we can comment on that one just yet, but we're definitely reading that because we see that all the time. Yeah. Some people, claim that some nations are much stronger than others, and there's always those debates going on. So I think that's always being looked at.
I think the plan with the rebalance is to keep all the rebalances thematic. So when the next one is announced, it'll be pretty clear on what types of units are going to be upgraded. And we're also adding events at the same time to sort of run in parallel. So if you look in the info window, you see the High Culture event, which allows you to upgrade your university and your library, among other buildings, more cheaply. So that runs in parallel, which is to say that we buffed some university skills and library resources. So keep in mind that a lot of the moving parts of the game are going to happen all at the same time, and hopefully be super beneficial.
I saw a question about adding trenches instead of walls. There was a suggestion in the chat. Again, like I said, it's not even something it might not be something we can address at this time, but all this stuff is red, and I love everything about World War I and trench warfare. I think it's fantastic and interesting. I mean, it's horrible and grisly and disgusting, but it's also really a really interesting aspect of war. So I'm sure a lot of the guys here feel the same way, and ladies.
I also saw that someone put battleships in like a hands emoji.
Yes.
There is at least a battleship-like unit in the game now. Admiral Yi has a turtle ship.
Yes.
So I think I saw chatter about him on the forums yesterday.
Yeah, people really loved the turtle ship, and I think on our last stream we kind of hinted that it's a mechanic that people like it quite a bit. So who knows? But yeah, battleships would be cool. I mean, that is a naval ship bombarding from the shore, which I think is something everybody wants to see. So very, very cool. Let's see. So Ben, do you want to come up and tag in and talk a little bit about Forge and Fire stuff?
Who am I kicking out?
I don't know. Whoever wants to go. We run a loose ship here.
All right, guys. I'm gonna spoil all of his rebalance changes.
Thanks,
You won't
man.
believe what he's doing to catapults.
Thanks.
That's one weird trick for catapults. Is that it?
The top 10 changes in domination rebalances.
Mr. Lax asks, can you share some troop ideas that you guys scrapped but talked about? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about because they can come back. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah, I have a ton I would love to talk about, but sometimes they say no, not because the idea is bad, but we just don't have time to do it.
Right. I mean, Hannibal's a perfect example of that. Hannibal was, going to be one of the very first generals, and now he's back. So.
I'll stick around.
Yeah. Come back and talk
Kayla
about.
works a whole lot on creating new troops.
All right, so I'm
core
going
content
to pull open the picture of the Arbalastier here.
French Arbalastier.
Yeah. And it was your decision to call him that. I like.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. I could have just called him French arbalist. That would have also worked, but the French word just kind of it flowed.
It flows off the tongue.
Right.
Yeah, I liked it.
And once you learn to say it even like somewhat correctly, you feel better about it.
Yeah, you feel better than other people.
Yeah, I practiced a few times saying Arbalastier. So, well, I guess what can you tell me a little bit about the process of adding? I know we can't say what Forge and Fire troops are coming just yet. We had like silhouettes that we can show again. But what was your role on this?
So when the call came down that hey, we're gonna do this deal, we're gonna work on these troops. The whole design team gathered together and we kind of spitballed a whole bunch of ideas. We kind of, not to get too much into it, but we kind of had the idea of what the weapon was, and as long as we can make the weapon work, we were allowed to use basically whatever kind of troop fit with that. So obviously I can't talk about what a lot of the future ones are, but we have a lot of really, really awesome
There's
ones.
some cool stuff.
The guy holding the 2 slices of pizza, really cool. Really cool unit.
That's not pizza.
That's also
guy.
a really cool unit.
The fire-breathing bunny's
There we
also a
go.
really cool unit.
Yes, the bunny.
Yeah, the fire-breathing bunny. And we had some really cool stuff. We had some new technology. Troops doing some new things we've never done before, and
We kind of hinted at that, I
yeah.
believe, with where is this gentleman here? No, that's not it. Clicking all the wrong buttons, guys.
the text that comes in. That guy.
There we go. So
Yeah.
yeah, some new mechanics coming in. I mean, this is exciting stuff. I mean, you mentioned just a second ago that it was important that Forged and Fire, the television show on the History Channel, could actually craft the items. So they basically said, okay, like, you know, you're not going to make like a catapult unit and they have to build a catapult. So it has to be something that's craftable and is able to be forged in finger quotes, forged in fire. So that was a cool kind of back and forth. And it's been very awesome to kind of to work with them and see the cool stuff that they're coming up with. So
Yeah, and another great thing that we've talked about is that every single one of these units are going to be something you can earn for free. So we have all these events that are going on. The current one for the French Arbalastier.
Ooh, you said it much better than myself.
Much
Just
better
to
than
add
me.
in a little bit of French accent. I worked on this one personally, so that's how come.
So
I
yeah,
can
so
say
you
it right.
practiced a few times too.
They're a really cool unit. If you look at their stats, it says they kind of have some normal looking DPS. Doesn't look like it's too high, but the thing is, it's a little tricky. They have a really slow attack speed, so they attack about 3 times slower than normal. You gotta take some time to reload that
Right.
obelisk, but they pack a huge punch, and they're super fun to play with.
I'm looking at that now. The just jump in the damage against defenders there is huge between the regular damage per second. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you could basically multiply that number times 3 for each, how much damage a single shot will do, and you get a whole swarm of them out there, and they have a pretty high amount of health for the comparable units of that type.
Very, very cool.
And I also saw like that since the crossbow was up there, you can see how he had that really cool pose.
Mhm.
That exact same, I guess, angles, and also even the pose I saw on the show actually yesterday. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just aired last night, correct?
it did. It just aired last night.
It's so exciting. So you actually did a bit of the research on these units as well, and wrote a lot of the flavor text,
That's correct.
which is such a fun. I mean, I'm saying this like a lot of people watching would probably like, why does Ash think that's fun? I think that's fun. What was it like kind of digging into the histories of some of these weapons? Because like we talked about earlier in the stream, first WebKinks, thanks for following us. We talked earlier in the stream how like the crossbow was one of the first banned weapons because it was like usable by peasantry and the church thought it was really bad. So what was like digging into some of the history of these weapons and the people that used them?
It's really fun. Research is one of the key things that we do whenever we come out with new stuff, because we can't just say, hey, there's some new magic, we're casting fireballs. There's story, there's reality behind it, and going into all of this, like you just mentioned how it was banned. Some of the fascinating things to read is why it was banned. It was banned because it was deemed too powerful for the common folk, that the commoners could kill a noble who would wear a full suit of armor without having to spend years or decades training. So
Yeah.
just learning little things about that, and sometimes we can put that into the historical text. Sometimes we don't have enough space to write everything we
Right.
want, but it's fascinating to just kind of learn all of this information about the different eras of history.
Yeah, it's very neat. I mean, and if you guys are not reading all the flavor text of the units and such, I really encourage you to do so. I think it's an extra added bonus to playing the game. You will come out with a better knowledge of history, and there's a lot of power in that.
There's a lot to learn from all the historical texts.
Yes.
Even in the museum, a lot of historical texts.
Oh yeah.
You guys
Done
wrote
so
a lot of the
much.
museum stuff as well, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
For all this the last release, we released African and South
Asian,
American units. I did all of these South American ones. Primarily, most of them are Native American, which that's in my blood, my ancestry. So a lot of it was things I'm familiar with. But getting to go have a deep dive on some of these more rare or uncommon artifacts has just been fantastic.
I did a few of the legendary artifacts from last release. So Admiral Yi's helmet that you got at the end of the Admiral Yi event. So that kind of played on my Korean history buff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Buffness.
That is very cool. Awesome. Is there anything? I wish we could tease more with the Forge and Fire stuff. We were coming in at this weird time where we're about to be able to talk about a lot of it. All I can tell you is definitely keep your eyes on the social channels, which I'll pop up there one more time. Why not?
Yeah, there you go.
Put your eyes on the social channels, and like I said, we'll have more information usually a couple days before it goes live in game. And keep tune in to Forge and Fire as well, and you'll get to see these weapons in action on the show. But yeah, so we'll have more information about all the Forge and Fire stuff coming in the coming X amount of time that I'm not allowed to say that I almost just said. Absolutely. So we're at the point where we're going to be taking questions from chat, hanging out and playing. If you have any pressing questions that we can address, I'll be doing my best to check in on both Facebook and on Twitch. So I will be monitoring those. Of course, if you have any questions for anybody here, feel free to ask them, and we will do that. Do you have anything that you want to show off, Tin? Anything special?
Oh no, run!
Is Hannibal in there?
Hannibal was. I dropped him earlier. I had Hannibal running, and I was mostly just focusing on the crossbowmen just now. And watching them just plink away at some of those tanks was really, really impressive to watch them closely. So yeah, let's go. We've got our victory chest, so let's see if we pulled anything fun there.
Did we check out some of those new artifacts yet?
We did. We looked at them a little bit. Let's check this real quick. Pardon me, and then we'll go check out the museum. We're gonna grab the fur. Okay, cool. What did we pull earlier? This I think was new, right?
Not that one. The one that's
Is the one below it?
the one.
Yeah, that's my actual favorite one.
Oh, really?
Is the Clinket armor. There's a couple different styles of Clinket armor. We went with the wooden one. And it's a real shame. We were thinking about trying to sneak in the other version, which is basically they traded a bunch of furs and leathers with Russians who had landed in what is now Alaska, and they traded for Chinese coins. I don't know exactly why the Russians had Chinese coins, but they did. And they didn't really know what to do with them because they just called it money. So they actually used that as chainmail, and they made body armor out of like metal coins with the little holes in the center.
That is so smart.
So that one looks really cool. This one is also really cool. It was strong enough. It's just made out of wood, but it was strong enough to deflect all of the early ammo. And so something that we've talked about. It doesn't really have any bearing on the stats, but there's two versions of every artifact that comes out. There's a normal one, and then there's one that we call the owner, which is it has someone who owned that item or is related to that item in some way. And the owner version of this one's fantastic, and looking into the story of Goshijin and how he protected his land and became what is called a sheikh, who is a sort of spiritual and warrior-like leader towards his clan. And just seeing all the story and backstory behind all this stuff is just really, really cool.
It is really cool.
Nice.
I find it super interesting.
Because even the first one that I think Tin clicked on was like Lady Haekyung's rings. There's a really crazy story about those. Of course, those are actually traditional wedding rings. But her husband was actually the prince that should have been king. But he ended up going a little crazy, and they locked him in a big big wooden rice paddy chest in the middle of summer, and he died that way.
Oh.
So I'm not sure. So if you guys, so I'm saying you guys, you should really go read all this historical text you have in there. Like you'll learn some really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Whenever there's an owner version, there's always some bonus, at least one paragraph, sometimes more, some bonus text there that talks about the owner itself, and it's really cool to look out for.
Very cool. Nate22, Great22 says artifacts are awesome. Museum also, thank you. What was the late? We may have said it earlier in the stream, so if we did, I apologize. There was a new batch of stuff that was added to the museum, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In addition to these here, this is a new one as well, right?
Yes.
Some of these artifact benefits to different troops, right, were added?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't the one who worked on that part specifically, but yeah, we do have a whole new batch of modifiers that can come in. Some really cool ones. I believe we have some that'll also reduce cost of library text, and that's one I've been stockpiling up on.
Yeah.
That's let me kind of burn through some of those earlier texts that I had been kind of neglecting.
Oh, personally, I've got a couple that I swap out. So I've got one for my vault storage. So I'll swap that out when I collect my vault. I'll swap it back to just oil generation when I'm just farming my base, and then I'll swap it to vault capacity when I'm going to fill my vault. So it's a whole a daily check-in of vault stuff. So.
I like how you use those artifacts, Tim.
Yeah, yeah, they work together. When you think about it, they were probably designed like that, and it's nice to know that they can be used in sequence.
Dave American Hawks asks if there is any discussion on increasing the amount of fragments and other goods used to upgrade them. I don't know if we can say specifically, but I will tell you, we look at all the data, and if we see that there's something needs to change, then changes may occur.
That's actually one of the things that we just added is I think it's the first tier of Hannibal's university tree can increase the amount of mysterious fragments that you get.
Yep.
So it's a real easy one. If you want to just grab that right off the bat, that's what I would recommend, and you'll just start generating those a little bit faster.
Yep, there it is.
Mr. Lax asks, this is a hard question. What are your favorite troops?
Why are you gonna do this to me?
I know. I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit and go. Right now, Hannibal is my favorite. I guess he kind of counts as a troop.
He's a front runner.
Yeah. I mean, he's just awesome. He just jack of all trades. He's great.
Yeah.
Is it mean for me to say that the ones that haven't come out yet are my favorite troops?
Oh, it's pretty mean.
I know.
It is pretty mean.
I said that last time actually. And last time I said that because Admiral Yi wasn't out yet.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
So Admiral Yi is definitely one of my favorites. Hannibal's another one of my favorites. Definitely, there's several from Summer for the Ages that a lot of people didn't use as much, but they're all on the screen, and Tim has them up. So the Korean War Battalion, definitely one of my favorites.
They were
There's
cool.
a flamethrower tank that's in there somewhere. The Meiji Warrior's pretty cool. Mimo Musashi, the Shaolin Monks. There's a bunch of really cool ones.
I really like the Summer for the Ages troops this
Yeah.
year. I thought they were really, really. I love the functionality of the monks. I thought that was just a really neat addition.
Well, this was something that you and I were talking about earlier too. The monks can heal themselves, right, as they go through, and you guys have thought about or begun to add more sort of spell-like functionality to the units
Yes.
as well as they.
Yep.
We
So
did. Oh, you want to go or?
I'm sure I'll go.
Yeah.
So I won't spoil what the troop is, but one of the Fortune Fire troops that's coming out eventually is they do have a new ability that when you place them on the field, they will use the Protect War tactic on allies around them. They don't cast it on themselves, but they do catch everybody else. And it's really, really big. So that says a radius 3. You place it down, there's the big little gold area, swing, it pops down and adds protect on there.
Swing?
It goes swing.
Wow.
That's what it does in my head.
This is sort of like a Wayne's World type experience now that I'm thinking about it.
But the I almost said their name. The troop that casts the Protect War tactic, it's I think 5 times larger than the normal area of
It's like
Protect.
a nice buff there.
So you place it down and you just see that gold shield just pop up on everybody. I'm doing sound effects, sorry.
No,
It pops up on everybody, and it's really cool. It doesn't last quite as long. That's kind of how we balance it out, but it's really cool to just have them as the support, because usually I find with a lot of tactics, I kind of place them first, and they run out, depending on what they are, and they take, they'll soak up some damage, or they'll do some damage real quick. But these are kind of like the reserves, the back line, and they come out and they guard and they protect everybody else who's around there. And it's really, really cool.
Another troop that uses a spell similarly, but we kind of made it into a spell actually. The Korean War Battalion actually, they will call in paratroopers to come help them out. So if we would drop the Korean War Battalion in battle, they actually will know they're down there shooting everybody, right? And then all of a sudden, all these reinforcements are coming in. So I really like those. And even Admiral Yi's he's actually using a spell as well. His turtle ship is shooting barrage, basically.
I love that.
It's canon, but it's still barrage.
It's so cool. Radzir says, "Come on, only you can have Hannibal from all those who are watching. Why are you talking about that general?" I apologize. I love Hannibal. I love that he was implemented. If I had to pick non-Hannibal, I'm gonna pick some probably, I don't know, unpopular choices, but I really love Spy. Like I think that's such a cool unit. I like her little trench coat, and I just love her sneaking around. I love that, I'll probably get flack for that, but I think Spy's a great unit.
But
Spy's great.
But Radzir, we did make Hannibal's skill tree very worth actually completing. Like Ben said, we have the mysterious fragments increases in there, the mercenary damage is in there, upgrading your war tactics has been reduced. Getting more hit points for your generals, all the things that, in order to get Hannibal at the very end, they're all things that help either Hannibal or help the strategy of when you're actually going to attack other bases. So it's very worthwhile to go through that tree and get Hannibal.
Awesome. Dark Ninja says, wondering what's going on with the combat rebalance. You're going to have to go back and watch the replay of this. Right at the 2-hour mark, we talked a lot about the combat rebalance and some of the reasoning behind it and mentality behind it. So definitely watch the replay and check out the first maybe 20 minutes of hour 2, and you'll have hopefully lots of information that you find interesting, Dark Ninja. So thanks for the question.
I'm actually really excited about the combat rebalance personally. That's something that we've been working on for a long, long time, and a lot of the stuff coming up is really fascinating. There's a lot of things I really want to spoil, and I'm just having to bite my tongue. But there's a lot of really cool things offensively instead of just defensive that are really cool that I'm really excited about.
Mr. Lax has a good general question. How long do troops take to come alive from the idea of drawing it out to coming onto the server, a ballpark figure of time?
Yeah, that's maybe 2 answers. So there's kind of the pitch, which is we'll have a meeting with some of the higher ups and we'll say, hey, these are the troops that we want. We think this would be a really good theming. Here's in general what they're gonna play like. Here's some new technology that might be required. Maybe it's reusing older stuff. Maybe here's some new stuff like the one I talked about that casts Protect on people. That's something we haven't done before. So you write it out. You tell them what you think. Usually there's some revisions that go back and forth. And then that sits and waits for a little bit. And then once it's actually...
or those elephants on defense.
Man. Stampede.
As you said before, he spawns the elephants when he's defending this base. This is a friendly challenge against my own base, so he... Obviously, they all come out together and wreck.
And squish things with the Stampede.
And I guess to continue what Ben was saying, there's also... sometimes we just have this cool new thing we just want to do. So kind of I'll use the Korean War Battalion again, and we just really wanted to use the tech to cast another troop to come into the game to help you out, and troops paratrooping in was a really good way to show that off. So
we're gonna be reusing that for some really cool things upcoming. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just saying
exciting.
You have some stuff to look forward to.
Very cool. Maggie's taking off. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Shout out to Maggie for moderating. Thank you very much. Neo Maximus has a question. Why is there no experience for upgrading walls and gates? I don't know the answer to that personally. So.
I don't know that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's something we can answer right now. My apologies. I think that
it's more of an instant thing. So I think not everything. I don't know the exact answer for that, but some things that are instant don't always get your experience.
Good
I believe the last time I talked to, I believe it was Brad about this, he said that one of the main reasons was walls have a much higher end cap than people are usually going to upgrade at that point. So generally, you'll go into a new age and there's 1 or 2 new levels of a building that comes out. But for walls, there's usually 3 or 4 or sometimes even more levels for that. And we don't want to force people to spend on upgrading their walls over and over again. They can kind of rush through just getting kind of the core new big upgrades instead of just some extra health.
Experience points are tied to when you can move to the next age, and so we really would like you to hit a couple of the key buildings, as Ben was just saying. Yeah, so if you can get your barracks upgraded, if you can get your gold, your mills and markets up to speed, then you can unlock that next age. We don't want you to feel like you're not prepared for battle if you've just done university research and wall upgrades and then move into the next stage. And
that wouldn't be good.
No.
Mr. Lax in the chat says, thanks for the hard work. Looking forward to the new updates. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. That means a lot. And like I said earlier, like we really appreciate the feedback, positive and negative and constructive criticism. All that is very much appreciated. All of your comments, even the ones we have not replied to, we're watching them and we're paying attention to them. And we're always working to make the game more fun. So.
And there's definitely a few things I've seen in the chat that you guys have requesting that we are working on.
Yes,
So
we just can't say
yeah.
There's I saw a bunch pop up. I'm like, oh, they're gonna be so excited.
There were a couple more things that I wanted to call out. I wanted to share this blessing, this Golden Age blessing. This replicates all of the Summer for the Ages things. So you have your instant town upgrade, you have your increased benefit from roads, caravans, farms, oil wells. You have decreased building costs. That's available now, and it is a global exploration building, so it will exist in the game until the 28th of this month, and then after that, it goes away. So if you pick it up now, you can benefit the most from it, and look, it looks good. Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And the other thing, I think we had a couple of player submitted bases that we wanted to look at, correct?
We did, yeah. We had a bunch of player submitted bases. So every once in a while on our social channels, we'll put out a, submit your player name and your alliance, and we'll take a look at your base and show them off on the stream. So we're gonna go ahead and do that as we close things out. And again, thank you, for participating in all those silly things we put up on the social channels. We appreciate it. We think it's really cool. I love interacting with you guys and taking a look at all the things that you guys show off. Like I said, we read all the suggestions, we read all the comments. All right, so which one is this?
I think this is Nathan.
Nathan.
Here's a pen if you need.
Oh, there we go. Thanks. From the Shredded Alliance.
Yep. So
this is his French Industrial Age base.
Nice. I would love any feedback if you
guys want to say anything about
what do you think about his
bases.
Upgrades. What do you think about this? Like, one of the things that I always look at is how far apart you'd have to do all your corners. So you'd have to dedicate specifically to each of these corners. It looks like it took advantage of this expanded map size that we did a couple of updates ago to move down here.
He went all the way to the edge.
Yeah.
It's been a fun strategy.
He has an archive.
Yeah, look at that little archive upgrading right there. That's awesome.
It's cool.
So anyone that doesn't know, the archive is actually the newest building.
Mm-hmm.
It houses speed ups, and those are basically things that can help you literally speed up the timers on your building.
Yeah. We showed that off at the first hour. If you're just tuning in now and you want to learn a little bit more about speed ups, we almost did like a tutorial-esque type of thing in the first maybe 20 minutes. So watch the rebroadcast and check it out if you want to know more about speed ups.
Yeah, the base is pretty good. There's obviously a big defense gap at the bottom where he's got a lot of stuff out, and it looks like he's just kind of going through some of the earlier upgrades.
Yeah.
So some more walls would be great. If I'm looking at that right, he actually hasn't cleared the forest area in between his town, kind of to the bottom right.
Oh yeah,
he did.
Yeah, so
there's a big gap there.
That's
different.
I tried doing that once because I thought the forest might stay up in between.
Oh, and hide some stuff back there.
Yeah, I was trying to hide it, but that doesn't quite work that way.
We should have a unit like that. There's what was it, World War II? They had all the canopies that they would throw over the tank, so when you fly over, you couldn't tell it was there. That's a neat idea.
2 questions. Bobo 2398 says, "Where do you get the speed ups?" So what's the quick answer for that?
League boats, victory chests, sales, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Awesome. And the next question is about elephant archers. How can archers mounting an elephant destroy an advanced civilization?
We love elephants here.
Really good archers.
Yeah.
Really good.
They're really good. They don't miss.
Pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
The thing you're focusing on is the elephants, but really it's the archers.
There you go. That's true. That's where all the damage is coming from. The elephants are just the mode of transportation.
Yep.
All right. So who else? You have, I think, Video 3 is.
Yes, Video 3 from the Mexico Gods. Sorry, I don't know which ones you added.
No, that's fine. Oh, I thought I put
did you?
nicknames there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
My apologies.
Oh, here we go. This is a very built-up base.
Yeah.
Wow.
This one's also atomic, and the other one was industrial.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those things that's a little hard to tell right off the bat, because whenever you see kind of non-standard walls like that, you think either they messed up or
Right.
it's in such a way that it forces your
The troops to kind of pass a different way.
Right.
So it's hard to tell until we actually drop some stuff on there, but it seems pretty good.
Right.
Again, it seems like there's kind of a mass down at the bottom that's
down here with
defensive
all these sniper towers all in one place.
It's not as protected, but there's so many buildings, kind of fodder buildings in the front that
Right.
I think
It's
all
pretty
those are
hard to
fodder
protect.
buildings because the missile silo is behind it.
Yeah, that looks like it. Is all defensive around this right here.
Yeah, it seems pretty smart. It's really compact too, which I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Doing more with that than I am on mine. Also an atomic age, but I haven't been there as long.
Let's see if there's any of these I can... so Callie, I've seen your question posted a few times. I think, honestly, the best answer, rather than me trying to answer your question, Callie69, would be to go check out the first 20 minutes of hour 2 of this broadcast when Brad was talking about the reasoning behind the rebalance. I think he did a really great job of articulating why the rebalance is happening and what some of the the reasoning is behind it and sort of what the end goal is of that rebalance. So rather than me kind of like butchering his vision for it, I would say check out that first 20 minutes of hour 2, which is the first 20 minutes of this hour that you're watching now, and hopefully those answers are for you. I'm sure someone will break it down within the next couple of days on the forums for you. So.
Yeah, another thing I would say is we are rolling these out in different. Again, I almost said how many
Stages,
different
phases.
stages, and each one of them has their own big design spotlight that goes over why we're doing each thing. So I think it's going to be pretty difficult to see what the end goal is until you have seen all of those.
Mm.
So if you are a little skeptical and think maybe this wasn't the right thing, I think you should check out. You should wait a little bit.
Yes.
You should check out some of the new updates because some of them have some really exciting changes in them.
Well, they're also not the first units that we've changed. Like
Yeah.
we introduced the tactical helicopter, and then almost one release later, we changed some of those stats.
Yeah.
We've changed the mortar unit. We've changed the troop tactics. We have too. We changed the hit points on the Viking Shield Maidens. So, yeah, all of it's in flux. So.
Yeah, I think you've hit almost all of them. I think.
Yeah.
Very good. Dark Ninja 911 says he wants T-Rexes with attached RPGs for an April Fool's card.
Ooh.
Maybe April Fools.
Maybe.
We have a big pool of April Fools units, and it's a real fight each
I
year
bet.
to see
It
who's
gets
getting
crazier
these.
and crazier.
Here's some chat trivia. For the past 2 years, can you tell me the last 2 April Fool's units? I don't think there's a prize other than us saying you're right.
But it's a good prep for community trivia night.
Yeah, it is. There you go.
Tie-in.
Martin Max, we cannot say the duration or the number of stages in the rebalance. Maybe in the coming weeks we'll be able to let you know a little bit more as things are solidified.
Yep, I know what they all are, and they will let you know when they're just about done. There's not going to be any surprise drops all of a sudden. So there's going to be some good spotlights for each one of these, and they'll kind of tell you what the current changes are, and then kind of wrap up why we're doing all this in total.
Not sure who to give it to because one got the name right.
Yeah.
And the other one basically got it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should give it to Martin. I mean, that is mammoths another name for mastodons?
They're mammoths. So
Yeah.
maybe-
Oh,
Yeah, they
mammoths.
are.
Yeah.
Mammoths. Okay.
Mammoths. So that counts, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Martin Max, you get the prize, which is like a bow.
Smarty crown. Yes.
A bow to you.
A
Good
round of-
memory.
One of those round of applause.
Actual round of applause.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we're actually almost out of time. There's a couple things we need to do before we get out of here. The very first thing is, well, no, we don't need this. We don't need the patch notes. Social stuff. So this is, I think, the third time I've said it, so I'm not going to beat it over your heads. But please follow us here. If you're not following us on Twitch, follow us on Twitch. Get notified when we go live. We're going to keep doing these as long as you guys keep showing up. We very much appreciate you guys showing up and for the questions and for giving us a super fun 2 hours. So thank you sincerely. So follow us here on Twitch TV at Nexon Mobile. Follow us on these social channels. So Play Dominations /Play Dominations on Facebook. Go to our forums. There's a lot of in-depth information on the forums for you guys to dig into and to talk with other members of the community. And of course, here's a link for the rally point as well. We appreciate that. I'm going to quickly splash this in 1 minute, see how much I can do. All right, so Battle of the Brains, check that out. I think that's a lot of fun. We have Relic Hunter Challenge coming up with not a lot of information on that yet, but I think it's a great way to use the museum as an event. Very cool. We have the Fire Pit with its Dukes. I don't have time to type it into the chat because we're really running out of time. But anyway, check it out. A great podcast. And Kasi573, thank you for following. Gail just want to have fun live stream every other Saturday at 1400 UTC. And guess what? We're going to sing Gail happy birthday because it's her birthday. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Gail. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Thank you for everything that you do, Gail. We appreciate that. That needs to be the closing music for your next show. Please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
All right, Doom Raider. Check him out on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Doom Raider, and you'll get to see all sorts of news and information and in-depth analysis of all the things that we put out. So check him out. He does some great stuff. And of course, last thing is the Continental World Cup, which is on week 77, the never-ending Continental World Cup. No, I think it's fantastic that they put forth so much effort. Definitely check that out. Flying Blade, thank you for the follow. We appreciate it. We'll go back to the main slide and we'll say goodbye. All right. Thanks to everyone in the chat that tuned in. Thank you on Facebook. Thank you on Twitch. Thank you everywhere. If you're watching this as a rebroadcast, thank you from wherever you're watching this on YouTube. We appreciate it. And we'll be back pretty soon. We have some fun stuff to announce in the coming weeks. Stay tuned to those social channels. Tune in, like I said, a little bit early, and you will get to get some information about upcoming events. All sorts of cool stuff coming up with Forged in Fire. So tune into that show on History Channel as well, and enjoy.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.